Indiana Hoosiers Live 51. It's Spittoon week, Brad. We are back. Have to, as Kurt Signetti said, rip off the rear view mirror. It is ahead to Michigan State. We've got a lot of smoke to cover. There was quite a few things that happened in the world of college football and the world of Indiana football this week. But I'll start with the jersey on your chest right now, Brad. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. I made a quick trip to Milwaukee last night and enjoyed a gritty. Enjoyed's a very strong word there. It's more so just stressed through a gritty 2-1 win over the Brewers. I'm going to be kind of watching as it goes today, but don't worry, I'm locked in on a game preview today. Got a great, some good insight on this Michigan State team we're seeing in the big brass spittoon game we got coming up. It's a rivalry week. I said it before, I see Michigan State as our true football rival. I see Purdue more as a basketball rivalry. So this is the real game. In typical sense, this would feel very trappy going into a rivalry game coming off a very big top 5 win in Oregon. Good news that we're at home. But, before we preview the game too much, let's get into some smoke.
Yeah, it's trappy would be the right word for it if we didn't have the literal watchdog for complacency stalking the sideline. So obviously we'll get into it. But I know I said we're ripping off the rear view mirror. We're looking forward. But Elijah Surratt, we gotta acknowledge some of the guys here as the awards from last week rolled in. Elijah Surratt, East-West Shrine Bowl Offensive Player of the Week. Brandon Wilkin also put up his side-by-side with Jeremiah Smith's stats this year. Not as one's better than the other. Just you have to look at what Elijah Surratt's doing right now and acknowledge that he has played himself into being one of the best receivers in college football. And put himself in an unreal position come next April for the NFL draft. So
we put Biletnikoff finalist expectations on him during the offseason, expecting a big year. Obviously, this podcast is very well known for anticipating at least 11 wins starting around, I think we called that out around April, and rather than, really just kind of tooting our own horn on social media, I think we took the high road, right? We know what we were, what we are, and we just continue to press forward. And Elijah Surratt just, his production has to be noticed, and he's looking in a great spot. For sure a lock for the Biletnikoff semifinalist, but looks to be in the driver's seat for a finalist and cracking that top 3, which is an amazing accomplishment to get there. The voters will do what they do, right? There's, one guy clearly has a lot more notoriety, a lot more NFL buzz than the other guy. So we'll see what goes down there. But, yeah, we definitely got to start that campaign for Surratt for Biletnikoff. I think that we've been doing Heisman Dozer for a long time. It's time to get the Biletnikoff campaign going for Elijah Surratt. As it feels like he's had, 400-yard games so far this year?
Well, his stats against Fat Boy's in the chat going Bones Jones with a bunch of fire. Fat Boy's been saying Big Ten championship or bust since before the season started. So full credit where credit is due. And I have this written down to go over later, but I don't know who had a better weekend on Twitter, whether it was you or Brian Haynes, but you guys were going basically bar for bar.
Yeah, Brian Haynes was going crazy on
not
Twitter.
You, Brad.
Yeah, of course. But, yeah, Elijah Surratt, since Big Ten play has started, 9 for 92, 2 tutties, 7 for 156, 1 tud, 8 for 121, 1 tud. I mean, the guy is showing up in the biggest moments.
There was a chart somebody put out today. It was like a working graphic where it was Indiana wide receiver production through first few weeks, and Cooper and Surratt Surratt especially just straight up and just separated themselves completely from the pack. And that's something we've seen. The receiver rotation hasn't been as wide as it was last year, but that's something Signetti talked about in his presser. You had guys like Price and Keyshawn Williams and Cross, and you had Coop and Surratt, and you had EJ for a little bit, and you had McCulley for a little bit, and there was a lot of guys there, and now you look at Cooper and Surratt especially, who's separated themselves as legitimate NFL guys and Surratt as what should be a day 1, day 2 pick. Why would you take those guys off the field?
Yeah, a lot of last year was spreading the ball around, spreading the wealth. A lot of games where Rourke completed passes to 8 or 9 receivers. Not seeing that a whole lot getting into Big Ten play. It really is heavy Cooper, heavy Surratt, which makes sense. Get the balls to your best players, right? Sprinkle in a little EJ Williams, get Roman Hemby some action. Then we got Nowakowski. And that's really all we need. I think only 4 guys had catches. I don't think EJ had a catch on. In the
EJ went out early, like early. I didn't even notice it. My dad pointed it out when we were watching the game. He was like, who's 7? He just limped off the field. I was like, geez. But yeah, no, 4 guys caught the ball. One of them was Roman Hemby. And yeah, it's a testament to the work that Elijah and Omar did over the offseason to turn themselves into players who can't be taken off the field.
And they're one of the guys that we were really critiquing and challenging them to really improve in the offseason. So seeing that come to fruition was one of the things we needed to see to get to this point that we find ourselves in, and being undefeated after Eugene and being a legitimate national title contender in not just our eyes, but now the eyes of the world, right? And it's a beautiful place to be in.
It is a beautiful place. One of the guys we were definitely not worried about was Aiden Fisher, who was named Big Ten Player of the Week, Defensive Player of the Week by the conference. Although, funny enough, if you want to go by PFF grades, he was the lowest graded linebacker of the 3. All 3 linebackers graded in the top 5 in the country of linebackers.
Unreal. We had faith. That was the one room that we didn't bring any transfers in. We're like, what the hell's going on? And
well, that was the one room that Sig had singled out, saying that he wanted potentially a little bit more depth. And then he had that tongue-in-cheek comment after Hoosiers at Huber, where he was like, DeVries needed a new roster or whatever, so the money got a little tight. But it turns out that no, they didn't. They just didn't want to go get somebody because like those guys are all elite.
Exactly. I mean, and just like talking future thing, obviously Aiden Fisher's driving the boat, right, with that room, the leader of that room, and also the team, obviously being team captain 2 years running, like the guy, play like a man with his head on fire on Saturday, said it on Sunday. And yeah, I mean, he lived up to the hype, but then just seeing the production, the development of Roe Hardy and Bones Jones, guys that we're anticipating to be those 2 guys as we, Indiana, we're going to run 4-2-5 for the most part. Obviously, we have, we're very versatile on defense, and we can go with different looks and different personnels, obviously, as most defenses. But those will be the 2 core guys moving forward in that room, and to potentially have them back for another year is going to be huge. But I mean, Isaiah Jones, you got to chill out a little bit, man. You got too much buzz for my liking. I don't want to, I like a little continuity going into the next year. I don't want to have to replace this whole roster with transfers again.
It's so funny.
Not that that's ever been an issue with Signetti, but it's
wait, while we have Angelo here, the Diego Pons merch is incredible. Is that a 1 of 1? Is that going to be for sale? Are we going to be able to get our hands on one of those? That was absolutely incredible. If you guys have not seen the Diego Pons official shirt, check Angelo's Twitter out. That thing is absolutely incredible. Definitely going to need to, if that's not being mass produced right now, we need to fix that. He says, hell yeah. All right. Another guy who was phenomenal over the past weekend was Carter Smith. He got, I forget which award Carter Smith ended up getting, but his PFF grade was ridiculous. He had 38 pass blocking snaps, no pressures, 87 pass block grade.
I saw that. I actually, photographic memory here. 38 pressures, 38 pass block reps, 0 pressures, 87.3 pass grade. Right?
The team released a graphic. I've just been too much going back and forth with these Penn State people, dude.
I need you to drive this boat.
No, dude. All I'm saying is Carter Smith is a man amongst boys, and it is so nice to have that dude on the offensive line. Like, he is as good as any tackle in the country, and Here, the Outland Trophy. That's what it was. Thank you. The Outland Trophy. Shout out to Carter Smith.
Yeah, Smith for Outland is also a new campaign that we need to do. And we knew this coming in, right? And this has been like a long time coming since the Tom Allen days when Carter Smith was first coming on the scene and he was getting a lot of NFL buzz. Like it was like, man, we got some guys. Like there's AJ Barner, there's this kid named Carter Smith. He's a freshman. He's going to win the job right off the bat. And so we always knew the talent was right there with Carter, and to see it come to fruition, and having McHale there to go up against him for what has now been 4 straight camps for him in his development has to be crucial for him. Those guys going up one-on-ones, because that's how it goes when you go one-on-ones. We're not sending Daly and Wyatt on Carter Smith. He knows how to take care of that. We're sending Kamara on him. That's how.
Well, dude, Daly and Wyatt are.
Hey, that's not a knock to those boys. It's not a knock.
They're handfuls themselves, my friend. Mm-hmm. Those 2 dudes are awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sure they went up in one-on-one matchups as well, because it's good for Wyatt to see a guy like Carter Smith. It's good for Daly to see a guy like Carter Smith, because we're gonna see the Isaiah Worlds at Oregon, and then what do you see? They're able to beat Isaiah World and Harkey on Oregon and get to the quarterback out around the edge. So,
yep, big time. Fernando Mendoza, who leads the Big Ten in passing touchdowns, which is an incredible stat. He had an awesome Wall Street Journal article that we didn't get a real chance to highlight, but my neighbor actually cut it out and gave me the article. So I have a physical copy of the Mendoza article, which is pretty cool. No thoughts on that, Brad? Doesn't do anything for you? All right. What about Indiana having
it? I'm glad that you had the hard copy.
Is it ELO rating, Brad, or ELO rating?
Your guess is as good as mine.
But Indiana's got the highest it's ever had in its history of football. Curt Cignetti has brought Indiana to a height it has never seen before. It's official. Indiana's elite, and they're a playoff contender in the eyes of the national public, but it's also in the eyes of the metrics. Their football team grades out as one that is of the elite level in that metric for the first time ever.
It's kind of surprising. I'm shocked to hear that wasn't their highest. They didn't get their highest rating last year, but obviously we expected this team to exceed that, and they've done that. All the things we were saying in the offseason, year 2 jump, going 11-2 in year 1 is insane, and you got to anticipate the year 2 jump, and that's what you're going to see, is that jump to the elite level. And glad to see it, because win or lose that game, we would still be sitting here telling you how they're an elite team, an actual playoff participant, and therefore a title contender, right? And yeah, it's glad to just let everyone know, let all naysayers know what's the truth.
I agree.
And it's not just that rating. There's are tons of computer rankings out there. I typically go peep at the Massey Composite. That's MASSEY Composite. And they have all these different computer rankings. And Indiana is ranked number 1 in a majority of those ratings right now. Ranked number 2.
Hey, all we've been saying is they're a damn good football team, and lo and behold, what they put on the field.
Have you gone on the Big Ten show with Mark Rogers yet?
Since we beat Oregon?
Yeah.
No. Funny enough, wasn't invited on this week, Brad.
You would think after a big win, the big honcho would shoot us a little invite to allow us to kind of talk our shit, but I think he's a little Ohio State Mark. No. We could both be on that show this week if we made the right moves.
I wanted to shout out the players of the week. Nick Roadcap usually tweets these out. Mendoza was the offensive player of the week. Bones, defensive. Frankie, special teams. And the scout team was Clayton Allen, Finn Walters, and Reese Bellin.
Oh, 3 walk-ons. Good for those kids.
Yeah. And then I was going to say Edward Catone is an absolute legend. He released another 9-minute recap video. He is
The first 3 minutes is just clips.
It's just clips of people being wrong about the game. It's like you better come correct to this Indiana football team because there are some assassins in this fan base that you're just not ready for. And we'll get to some of the people in the media who just like I can't even understand how they listen to this themselves say things like that. But man, Edward Catone is phenomenal at everything he does. And the fact that he just releases these things out to the public is one of my favorite things each week. Like I look forward to a bunch of different things after Indiana wins. His edits are definitely one of them. The Don Fisher video is one of them for sure. The collective dunking on receipts is definitely one of them. But yeah, his the Edward Catone game recaps, especially for the bigger games, for sure at the top of the list every week.
100%. That one and the Don Fisher video.
Yep.
Every week. Inject it into my veins.
Every week.
Just like the CBS intro, the CBS intro song for college football. Love that.
I'll do that. We'll do this first. This isn't Indiana football news, but we did get some major sports news this past week. Sister Jean passed away, and obviously Indiana is a huge basketball state. I was able to luckily have what I'll call like a Sister Jean experience where I was in the building for Loyola Chicago beating the Illinois that year. They had IO, and the tournament was played in Indy. Just somebody who had an amazing life and an amazing sports watching career, and just like the late life that her career took on in the public eye. Just a very, very cool story. So that was sad to see, and definitely rest in peace to Sister Jean.
Yeah, a magical run back when we were in college, actually around the time when me and Keyser first met, actually around the same timeline when Loyola Chicago made that magical run all the way to the Final Four. Yeah, RIP Sister Jean, and yeah, a life well lived and worth celebrating, and yeah, a legend in the sport of college basketball.
Yep.
An unlikely legend at that.
Absolutely. We'll get a little silly first, and then I'll just get angry at the media. But I was tweeting pork roll a bunch of times this week, and I'm sure people were pretty confused about that. But I learned that starting last year, Rowan and Montclair State, two New Jersey schools, started playing a rivalry game where the trophy is a pig, and they play for the right to call the breakfast meat Taylor ham or pork roll. I'm from New Jersey. It is pork roll. You can't convince me otherwise. But the fact that there is a football game to decide whether or not or what it's called, it just like speaks to my soul. And so I had my eye on that football game. Obviously, pork roll won for the second year in a row because that makes sense. So shout out to Rowan, and shout out to that trophy. Shout out to pork roll. So that's what I was this week.
What a beautiful, that might be my new favorite trophy game, to be honest. Like that's
right?
electric. That's what this sport's all about. That little, what do you call it? That little niche, niche.
I think I'm pretty sure they're D3 or D2. Definitely not D1.
Yeah, those little eccentric traditions you find around college sports is really, obviously you get into it because you like the stars and things like that. But I think what really drives it home for us college sport fans is those fun little trophy games, right? That's what it's all about.
That's definitely what it's all about. What's that all about? I have this written down, and I just I saw a Kirk Herbstreit clip where he was like, somebody in the chat had told him like he's the biggest Indiana hater, and he was like taken aback, like how could anybody say something like that? Or like somebody who has like all of our accounts blocked tagged the show's account in a Josh Pate clip where he was like, Indiana fans are just like they're feral and whatever he was talking. It's like, do these people just not listen to the things that come out of their mouth for a full year? Like these things happen in public. Like we listen to the words you say over and over again. So it's like to sit there for a year and basically tell Indiana fans to kick rocks and that they're morons and that we're not going to listen to a word you say because we know better. Then to be on your high horse and be like, well, actually, you guys had to prove it to me that you could do this. And then sit there and be like, yeah, I can't imagine why people are upset at the way I acted is brain dead. Brad, it's brain dead. Mm-hmm. It's I could not believe some of the things I was hearing, and it's like you don't have to say nice things about my football team because I want you to, but you also don't sit there and be like, I was saying nice things the whole, like I didn't act the way I obviously act. There are receipts for these things. Like there are clips, there are more than a few tweets and words and things that people can point to and be like, no, you actually were treating us a certain way for a year. So tough shit if these guys are a little upset that it's being now thrown back in their face that they were dead wrong about the trajectory of this Indiana football program. I literally don't care. So they can either apologize for getting it wrong and we can move on, or they can dig the hole deeper, which is what a couple of these guys chose to do. And it's like, I don't know. I don't go out of my way to pick fights. I'm not going to like raise the pitchforks and be in these people's mentions and be a nuisance, but I'm just not going to pay attention to the things they say. Like, and they're in positions of power in the media. Like, I just don't understand why you want to alienate a fan base that it literally just came out today that it's the largest living alumni base in the country. Number one, there's more Indiana Hoosiers alumni alive than any other college in the country. And you just continually want to pick fights with this fan base for engagement or for, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but I simply could not believe some of the takes coming out today of like, oh, I believed in this team the whole time. I just needed to see them beat Oregon. Like, dude, give me a break.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with that take. A few specific ones I want to call out. Josh Pate had Indiana earlier in the week and then eventually changed his pick because he got the case of the brand brain and didn't want to fully buy into his.
Well, his buddy Will Compton was releasing fake texts and
pretty much on
busting with the boys ecosystem and whatever the hell they were doing.
Like bad. That was the biggest case of brand brain I've ever seen. Kirk Herbstreit. It was funny that the guy did send that chat into their channel exactly at the point when they revealed his top 10 list and
Indiana was one.
Indiana was one. Like Kirk was allowed to throw a jab at him at that point. Like,
that's fair. That's fair.
At that moment, though, because
at that moment, very fair.
If you were talking to me, 9 months ago, I wanted Kirk Herbstreit 10 on a spike. Like that's what a guy that I once adored in the college football space was tearing down my team for, I don't know, God knows why. I thought he was a Big Ten advocate. It just seemed wrong to me what he was doing. And then one guy I will give some credit to in terms of taking the heat is Brandon Walker. He opened the doors. He was like, hey, bring it.
Kadek's appearance was electric. Just the first 5 things he said was coward.
Man. I can handle it. I was wrong. That's a guy that's actually continually, time and time again, when he's wrong, admits it, right? And I think a lot of guys in the media struggle with that. That's the reason why I do somewhat have respect for Brandon fucking Walker. He has some cojones. So.
Well, dude, I appreciate the fact that I appreciate somebody who can admit when they're wrong and somebody who's okay, like throwing and taking punches. Like if you're gonna be in that game and you're gonna say and do some of the things that these people do, like the audacity of some of these people to be taken aback when it gets thrown back in their face is crazy to me. This is we're talking about a public facing world where that is what happens. So to expect anything different is literal insanity. I don't know.
The fact that you can think you could say anything without, someone saying something back, First Amendment, right? Like it blows my mind whenever someone gets.
But it's the part where it's like, no, they had to prove it to me. Like,
yeah, that's probably the thing that gets.
Who cares what your opinion of their team is? It's like you're clearly not paying attention, and if you were, you'd have a different opinion.
They proved it to me, and I'm master of the eye test. They proved it to me after the Illinois game. So it's like, boom, we're done. We're slop. We're locked in.
I sent you the Bryson Bonds pick. If you don't follow Bryson Bonds on Twitter, go check him out. He put up like the George Pickens-esque, like standing and like stalking your TV basically when Indiana beat Oregon. That's a kid who like it like hurts me that he's not like able to be around the team and like be there and be a part of this, because that's a kid who's been with this program through some really rough times. But to see him be involved in some way, shape, or form was cool to see.
Yeah, I love him still being involved. I'm hoping and praying he gets some sort of waiver and he's able to come back next year. I think he is a redshirt senior, so it might be a little tough for him. But hopefully somehow, some way, Bond's special team ace and solid safety depth can come back to this Hoosier team and produce in some big ways in the future. But glad that
if only we knew an eligibility lawyer, huh?
Yeah, I know a guy.
I know, the best damn lawyer in the land.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, shockingly enough, there was no Ducks versus them video this week.
What? Why not?
Indiana recruiting, though, all jokes aside, it's taking a major turn in the right direction. For as much shit as I do give these major media companies, I will give somebody who we don't give enough credit to a pat on the back. Steve Wiltfong, I think his whip around show, especially now that Indiana is more in the mix for these guys. And honestly, he's been somebody who's been given a lot of what he's been seeing on the recruiting trail credit from the very beginning. I think his whip around show is fantastic. It's a really great listen. The Indiana recruits who were either at this, not at the game, but who were like he talked to after this game were all saying good things, including like potential targets in 2027, including Monshon Showtime sales. So his show was a really good listen. I didn't get through the whole thing, but a lot of what the guys in their class were saying, music to our ears. And after some of the things I saw from this past weekend and this week, and listening to the things that were coming out from the recruits, I'm not worried about any of these guys flipping or leaving this class. If anything, and I know Jamie Jordan, IE Reactionary, we had him on the show on Sunday, was saying he thinks we might be done in the class of 2026. I just think they've produced or put so much good tape and good stuff on the field and built so much positive equity that I would be surprised if they don't at least add a couple more guys to this class, including a lot of like there's 2, 3, 4 guys who have decommitted, who are reopened their recruitments, who are associated with Penn State that they're on. So
a lot of big time jobs becoming open, which means that big time recruits are going to be open as the season progresses. We've talked about, and at a high level, we've talked about the timeline of building a program. And like now that we've arrived, we can kind of like talk about like way ahead of schedule. Like we're game 19 in and we've arrived at the national scene, like way ahead of schedule of what you would expect in a typical rebuild. Makes other fan bases question their own rebuilds and what that's supposed to look like. And it's funny to see, but this is the type of win that breaks you through to where you start being able to realistically build classes of those 4 and 5 stars. Obviously, Cignetti as being that staff and the evaluations that they do, they're going to still go after the 3 stars, the diamonds in the rough, the guys that they want to bring into the program, the glue guys. They're going to get their Roe Hardys. They're going to get their D'Angelo Ponzes. But now they can even add even more with those 4 and 5 star guys consistently, make that a big bulk of their class. With obviously, they're still going to evaluate, culture fit, things like that. And it's all going to stay the same, but it's just the in terms of the national media level of recruit and in terms of what they're going to get, they're in a much better spot to get those guys that are a little more well known, and that's a huge thing moving forward because it obviously this team is very much capable through the portal to be able to compete at that high level, but now they're going to be able to build from within and not have to supplant so much talent with the portal, and now they can start to begin, and now it's now we're probably going to only have 2 more years of big transfer portal classes.
I would say maybe 1.
Yeah, I mean we'll just see how these other young guys are progressing, right? Mm-hmm. We're not seeing a whole lot of them this year, not as much as this year, obviously because our top level, our 1s and our 2s are just so good right now. There's just not a whole lot of opportunity for these younger guys.
Also think about this, like
I'm sure they are developing.
Well, Illinois game, we saw a lot of people play because of the score. And then you travel to Iowa, which is a hostile environment. The game's harder than you thought it was going to be. They really tightened up in terms of who was playing, who they trusted. Then you go into a bye week. Then you go into another hostile environment against a really good team. I'm just not surprised we didn't see everybody. This next stretch, Michigan State is not playing the best football. UCLA, who is playing their best football of the season, and now all of a sudden it looks like we get a really fun game to go out to next weekend, Brad. But the rest of this schedule isn't terrifying. Maybe if Penn State gets its shit together and like sees some sort of like UCLA-esque revival, that can be a really challenging game. But like Indiana's going to be favored by probably by double digits for the rest of their games. Yeah. So it's like I would not be surprised to see the rotation open up a little bit and we see a lot of these guys play, and we see what the depth looks like. And so by the time you maybe have to go play Oregon again, the team looks a little different because they're not going to be the same team they are in like now versus in November, December. So that's exciting too.
What's really exciting about this team is that they do get better as the year goes on. That's one thing. One call out on the Penn State thing, regardless of who's coaching Penn State on the road is always going to be a tough game especially with the roster that they have. I don't know what they're going to do in their coaching search. I think it was a bad move to fire James Franklin.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that next.
But yeah, you want to just get into it?
Yeah, Penn State fired James Franklin. Signetti's not leaving for Penn State, but let's have the Penn State conversation because I actually really wanted to get your opinion on this. Yeah. You've been talking about look at Nebraska and look what happens when you fire a coach who consistently wins 9 games. To me, this screamed 2 things. 1, it screamed mistake. 2, it screamed Indiana men's basketball coaching search, where you see these massive names early, like Signetti popped up, Marcus Freeman popped up. Like anyone who's got a top 25 team right now that has a quote unquote better position than Penn State right now, like anyone not named Ryan Day has been floated for this Penn State job, right? So like the news hits your phone. Mm-hmm. What are your initial thoughts?
Yeah, I was watching the Chicago Marathon at the time when I saw it. It was funny because I was like literally talking about like that concept with my girl, and I was like talking about the whole thing, and I see it on my phone, and I'm just like, no shit. They really did it. And it's like, because I was talking about how like a win, seeing Indiana win at Oregon could make a team like Penn State make the mistake of firing a guy that brought you to the semifinal the year prior, a play away from the national title game, maybe 5 plays away from a Big Ten title, maybe more. But that's a good Oregon team, right? It's like it's football. It's the big show. Like those things just happen. Like this whole idea of can't win the big one, like to put that on one guy is, I think, just pretty delusional just in terms of how like team sports works. And yeah, I think they're falling into that trap that Nebraska fell into with Bo Pelini. I think that's always the best example of seeing a blue blood kind of take a nosedive because they decide to move on from a coach because they're not winning enough, right? I'll even throw in Lane Kiffin, USC. I'll throw in Sark's, a kind of a different story at USC, but like Lane Kiffin, USC, very similar, right? Lose on the road to Arizona State randomly, fire him mid-year. Like you don't know how that season. Then go figure, Ed Ogeron's able to get those boys playing because it's like, yeah, they're USC, they're plenty of talent. Like it's football, right? Like it's
he's
sport.
Looking for a job now too,
like
huh?
These things change, man. Like you see, what UCLA is doing. It just lets you know like the ambiguity of sport and kind of projecting what happened. I always found it to be utter ridiculous. You got to look at a large sample size, and James Franklin's a top 10 coach. I hate to tell anyone, but that's just the facts. And whatever school lands him is getting an absolute steal. The fact that Penn State moved on from him, and it's funny because like if Signetti wasn't unattainable before, Oregon made it impossible. A win at Oregon, like it's like blank. If it wasn't blank check before, it's a blank bigger check now, right? It's like you get 12 mil a year, 15 mil a year, I don't care. 20-year contract, I don't care. You're getting it. You're getting whatever you want within reason. Obviously, don't make the school go away. You gotta save some money for some players, right? Sig, you know what the deal is. Wink, wink, right? You'll do that. Sig knows the deal. And it's like, yeah, whoever gets James Franklin's getting an absolute steal, and he's gonna revive that program and probably make Penn State look silly. And then Penn State's gonna end up with a guy like not knocking any of these coaches, but it's not gonna be like for me, it's like, all right, Matt Rule. He's an alum, so that's like probably realistic call number 1. Matt Campbell's around. John Summerall, he's more of an SEC guy. Like the Golesh guy at USF, he's really good. Obviously Kenny Dillingham, you got to knock kick on the tires there. But this idea that they're going to fire this guy and upgrade him is for sure upgrade James Franklin is just. It's asinine to think that.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. They were literally
pay $50 million to do it, to take a risk like this.
What were they in the college football playoff last year? 2? 4? Like,
yeah.
Like last year, not even a calendar year ago, they had a bye.
No, they played Boise State in the first round. But
they didn't have a bye.
Remember
Because
all
they didn't win
the 5 through 8 seeds actually all won their games. They all beat the teams with byes last year.
Oh yeah.
It's something to note as we go into the playoff this year is that the teams with byes lost all last year. Something to note.
But they were auto bids.
Exactly.
They were auto buys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit different story because it created some weird matchups where like Oregon's getting Ohio State, and then
that was miserable.
Arizona State's getting Texas, right? It just creates some interesting dynamics, but risky move for Penn State. We love to cover the Big Ten here, obviously being an Indiana show. I think it's important that we do. That's the biggest coaching search I think we'll see in the conference, especially considering what UCLA is doing. If UCLA doesn't continue with Tim Skipper and Jerry Neuheisel, the only thing that would make sense for them is getting James Franklin and keeping Jerry Neuheisel and potentially keeping James and Tim Skipper if they can. I don't know if that's possible, but that would be the ideal situation. So I think that Penn State coaching search is going to be probably the biggest thing to watch in the offseason.
Well, obviously we have a unique experience, right? Our fan base, because we literally just watched a very similar thing happen. Now, Penn State had a lot more recent success than Indiana basketball has, but like you're talking about two brands that think the power of their brand is going to be good enough to attract somebody from another equally big brand. And it's like, I don't know, like I can't ignore the front office sports article that came out that said like there's trustees from the Penn State side that don't trust the athletic director and think he took a bribe to go to Adidas, and that the athletic director is making $500,000 a year in product allotment from this Adidas contract, and half the trustees are like, what the hell is going on here? Like there's legitimate turmoil there. I don't have to sit here and explain to you the dark history of Penn State football. Right? Like you kind of it's the first thing you think about when you think of the school realistically. So this idea
it really is. Like you think of Penn State, like it's like Joe Paterno.
This idea that like in this modern,
like Joe Paterno is like the second thing you think of.
This idea that in modern college athletics where you can win wherever the bankroll is big enough, and look at what Texas Tech is doing right now is like another huge example of like it's not just Indiana is this fairy tale story of like putting money and like belief and behind the right people. You set yourself up to look like a place that has unrealistic expectations. The next guy that goes in there after James Franklin has to win a national title in the first 2 or 3 years, or they're going to consider him a bust too and get his ass out of there. Like I feel like I'm watching the Indiana basketball fan base look at their, but it's like the start of that, right? It's like they haven't had their Kelvin Sampson yet that sinks the program, but like I don't know, there was a lot of people were calling Franklin Tom Crean, and I'm not sure if that's like an apples to apples comparison, but like look at what happened to Indiana basketball after they fired Crean. Like it wasn't exactly sunshine and rainbows. They didn't go and get a guy that was better than Tom Crean.
They thought they did. Doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, Abel in the chat.
Yeah, I would like to see, honestly, like, I would love to see Matt Campbell get that opportunity, because I think there's a limited. Iowa State isn't doing what Texas Tech and Indiana are doing. Like those are just facts, right? And the fact that he's able to have that success, find guys like Breece Hall, David Montgomery, Brock Purdy, and bring them into his program and find success. There's obviously tons of other players that he's brought in.
Some of these names are laughable. Like I passed Signetti and Freeman, like and Saban, right? Like Mike Elko. Like why would he? Like people are like, oh, Texas A&M doesn't spend enough. It's like, do we look at the same? Texas A&M, like Eli Drinkowitz. Like Eli Drinkowitz at Missouri was recruiting in the same areas and at a higher level than James Franklin was doing at Penn State. Like why would he leave Missouri for Penn State? If somebody can articulate an argument for me, like again, I'll listen to it. But it's just like I don't look at Penn State and living at State College or whatever as like this major, like I need to go change my life right now and go live at this place. Like in the old days when it was one of those programs, one of like the 12 programs in the country you could win at, yeah, it made a lot of sense that was a job you'd pick up the phone for when they came calling. But when you can win where your own 2 feet are, as long as you have the backing of your administration, why would you like who like I don't know. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see how big the allure of that job is.
Administration and head coach relationship is so underrated, right?
Fran Brown is an interesting name.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like there's so many guys. Like Signet is a great example of that. Like Dolson and Pam Whitten took a chance on him.
Mm-hmm. People are like, yeah, Signetti was this home run.
There's plenty of other relationships like that.
Signetti was sitting at James Madison. Everybody in the country had an opportunity to hire that guy and just chose to ignore what he was doing at IUP, at Elon, and at James Madison. So it's like the fact that everybody now, like on Monday, is like, holy shit, Curt Signetti's the best coach in the country. One, we've been telling you that for 2 years. And two, you guys were literally saying something completely different 2 days ago. Like, do you think everybody like, and this goes for the Penn State fans too, like we all just watched what you did to your head coach and the way you treated the players in your program and like how you guys just freaked out at the end of that. Like that was last week. We all watched that happen. You know what I mean? Like these things aren't happening behind closed doors. Like they're happening in public. Like, I don't know. Like
yeah, we're talking about it a little long, but I think what would be smart for Penn State to do is not necessarily go after that flashy guy. You're going to hate me for saying this, but find a top coordinator. I'm not going to name our guys, but Tosh Lupoy over at Oregon. I feel like he's due for an opportunity at a big school.
I feel like you need. I mean, again, we're talking about this a lot. We probably don't have the best authority to be like,
take a chance on like a young coordinator, right? It worked out for Oregon with Dan Lanning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Brad,
this UCLA game, I'll transition you from East Coast, quote unquote, to West Coast. This UCLA game, I said before, seems like it's gonna matter a little bit more than we thought it would when we ended up booking the flights, buying the tickets. Does that excite you? How are you kind of feeling as we approach? Are you a little bit more nervous? Like, what is the internal battle of Brad Loomis going into this? I don't want to look too far ahead, but just like as UCLA starts to play better.
Someone asked me this question actually over the weekend. Like UCLA is looking to be one of the hotter teams in the country right now. And they're saying, how would you feel if UCLA goes into Bloomington and kind of spoils an undefeated season for the Hoosiers, right? And like, would there be a part of you that would feel a little happy? And I shut that down so fast. I was like, no, that'd be like worst case scenario. Like this UCLA team, they already have 4 losses. Let's be realistic. I think bowling is on the table, but this idea that they're going to go to the playoff and win the Big Ten, like it's just not.
I'm not seeing any of that.
I'm not.
If things get crazy, maybe not
a realistic sense, but like, yeah, I mean, yeah, they're going to have a great offense. Unfortunately for them, we have Brian Haynes and Mario Landino and Isaiah Bones-Jones and Pons and all those guys and Fisher. And it's just different, you know? Like, I know what they did at home against Penn State. Going on the road to Indiana, a little different, right?
Yep, I would full.
And that was like, they had, like, not going to knock that Penn State win, but like they did have the advantage of that specific UCLA team had nothing on tape. Nothing. There was nothing for Penn State to go off of. Everything they did was basically the first time they've seen it, right? In terms of that timing of that play and that, like, the way they did things. They had nothing to go off of.
It's a great point, Brad. It's a great point. All right, let's speed run the rest of the smoke because we got to get into the game preview. Indiana has the 4th best national championship odds according to BetMGM, and they have the best quarterback out of those teams according to me.
Say that again. Sorry. I was locking in for the speed run. I wasn't ready.
Indiana has the 4th best national championship odds via BetMGM, and out of those 4 teams, they have the best quarterback via me.
Saying Ty Simpson and Carson Beck.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to agree. Ty Simpson, I was knocking him all offseason. He's been playing very well.
That looks great.
Very nice 16-1 interception TD interception ratio. Carson Beck, hey, Caleb, cut it out. Cut it out. Yeah, the Jackson Curio opener home run was not great.
Well, actually, hold on. Sidebar. Brad calls me the other day. He goes, "What?" Like out of the blue, basically. He's like, "What am I supposed to be afraid of, Jackson Churio?"
No, I probably said like, "What is a Jackson Churio?" Something like that. But, he's a great young star, great young player. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah. Ty Simpson, Carson Beck, and what's his face?
Saying.
Yeah, I would probably rank those like eye test, Mendoza 1, Beck 2, but the most like vulnerable to move. And
that's what I'm saying. I put Mendoza 1 and everybody else is behind him. Like I don't even. It's all irrelevant.
I'm just showing people what I think. And yeah, Sayan's just the youngest, so he's 4, and then Ty Simpson. I think there's a way to get to Ty Simpson, like kind of like the Dante Moore type.
There's a way to get to all of those guys, dude. Oh, yeah. I know we just spent a little too long talking about Penn State, but nobody can forget that Carlos Hoosier actually broke the Penn State will be looking at Marcus Freeman news. that was so insanely hilarious that he got banned for an On3 bit, and then On3 ran the Carlos Hoosier bit. We definitely remember. Our media team kicks ass. They're awesome. She Loved My Kicks, Trevor Bowens, all those people involved in the media team. Like those guys are incredible. Every single week they bless us, and I know I see our fan base giving them love, and I just they don't get enough love. Like that entire team is incredible. The homecoming poster.
Or I thought we were speed running.
I thought, well, I was going to give you a chance. Like speed runs, usually, like I say something, you give like a little.
Yeah, they're great.
You want to shout out the media team?
They're great. I'm sending the love. I'm watching. I'm ingesting the content.
Did you see the homecoming poster?
No, I didn't actually.
It's incredible. Go check it out.
I'll keep it later.
Where
would I go to find the poster, Keezer?
Ah, shit. We retweeted it. Go to our account. Go to @IndianaVOCFB on Twitter, or you could, if you're watching on Twitter, if you're watching on the Sigs Inside account, it's on there too. But hop on over to YouTube. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Yeah, the Hoko poster goes absolutely crazy, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, that's what we can make the Bison look like." But I don't know. I like all Hoosier the Bisons. And then this isn't Indiana football related, but this is just something as a fan of the media world. It was announced today that the Bill Simmons podcast is going on to be put on Netflix. And like, that's just crazy. It's like somebody who watched this industry basically be born I'm in high school watching Bill Simmons and Jalen Rose talk about like the whatever draft that was, right? And like it's buried on like page 2 or 3 of like ESPN's website, and now they're on Netflix. And like you just see like podcast companies basically. Or
dream, like, maybe one day. Sigs Inside Netflix.
Well, I didn't get an answer when I was in the chat in the Big Ten show that we didn't get invited on, but I did ask if the Voice of College Football is next. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get there. We gotta,
and then
I know stack weeks, stack months, stack years, right?
We were flying the Old Dominion flag pretty heavily.
Tough one over the weekend. Marshall's a good team.
Marshall is a good team, and tough one over the weekend for the boys at ODU. But keep your heads up, and we'll continue to watch.
Playoff dream might be dead, but they're still in contention for the Sun Belt.
Yeah, so big game against James Madison coming up. I don't know when that game is.
Yeah, the Colton Joseph pick 6 early wasn't great for the vibes. It wasn't good. He'd be doing that sometimes. Like Colton Joseph, he's a little, run and gun gunslinger. Just don't know what he's going to bring you with the arm that week, but he's going to bring it with his legs. Yeah. All right. Speed run.
No, that's what I got. That's the smoke.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you want to dive into the chat real quick, or do you want to hit the history?
Let's dive into the chat. I actually need to get up for a second. That's okay.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yeah. Hold on.
All right. Our Fat Boy said, actually, Abel said, Don't worry, fellas. I've been tooting our horn all over social media. Logically explain to me as of right now why Surratt is not a first team All-American. I actually can't explain that to you. I would actually echo that sentiment. And I would say my whole thing going into this week or going into last week was basically saying if these guys are who we think they are, then Indiana's going to have a really good shot to go win this football game. And we thought Elijah Surratt was a day one elite, like get open against any type of coverage wide receiver. And you saw all day they tried to single cover him and he was open all day. And you look at his numbers for Big Ten play, Brad read them off. You look at his numbers against Iowa and Illinois, or I guess that is Big Ten play, but you just look at his numbers on the road. Like, look at who they're going to in big situations. Like, he is as good as anybody in the country has been. So, yeah, I would full-blown agree with that. Elijah Surratt, first-team All-American for sure.
He's right on track. Like, him and Jared, it's hard for me to find a better receiver than Surratt and Smith right now. Maybe Jordan Tyson over at Arizona State, but I don't think his production's as up as it was last year. I might have to check. All right. Leaders in yards in the country, which, if you know anything about me, yards is an overrated stat. It's very situational. Like Danny Scudero at San Jose State's leading the country in yards. Do you think Danny Scudero is the best receiver in the country? No, it's probably not.
I can tell you who owns Danny Scudero in fantasy, though.
Really? See, I only do Power 5 or Power 4 schools, so he's not even eligible for my league, which stinks. Because I watched him week 1. I'm like, that's a guy. That's a productive little
waiver ad, Brad. What'd you imagine?
Yeah.
I'm a monster on the waivers.
Yeah. Mekhi Lemon has been very productive. I mean, the receivers in the Big Ten.
Dude, I did a PFF mock draft yesterday. You know what? I did a PFF mock draft yesterday. You know what Mekhi Lemon's ADP was?
In what? Like
PFF. You know, you can go like Google like PFF NFL mock draft.
They have him first round. He's not. Slots don't go first round.
Mekhi Lemon's ADP was 20.
He doesn't go. Yeah,
he's not going to go. I'm just saying, like, that's
love
crazy.
To have him on my team. He's a true NFL slot, but like,
no, he's great. I just thought that was crazy.
Yeah, true slots don't go like first round. They just don't.
No, Devonta Smith went first round. But he's not a true slot, though.
He's not a true slot. That's a Heisman winner.
I know. That was disrespectful. I'm sorry, Devonta.
Yeah.
Fat Boy says
not too good this year. No, Marshall's tricky. Thundering Herd. We are Marshall. It says,
unsung hero Jamari Sharp after Sig ripped him a new one.
He played awesome.
He was awesome.
Not unsung. We sing about Jamari Sharp all the time. Track speed 6'2". Love it.
I'm getting clowned for having a newspaper cut it. Last time I heard of someone cutting out an article from a newspaper, there was still public payphones around. Abel, relax.
I have actually a framed Dodgers World Series like newspaper in my room right now. So I'm all for that. I got your back there, Keys.
Hell yeah. Farrell Indiana Jones reposted the stream. Shout out to Farrell Indiana Jones. I love how Farrell has just become adopted by the Indiana fan base. I don't think Josh Pay has any idea what he just did. Any idea.
He's digging himself a hole.
Caleb says Indiana going to finally land its first ever 5-star in the 2027 class. I would say most likely yes.
It looks good for Sales. Sales was not only verbally telling insiders what he was like seeing at Indiana. I mean, he's watching Surratt right now. You gotta love what you're seeing. He's active. He's been active on social media around the Hoosiers, and I think the thing that sticks out to me the most is when Kashmir Hicks committed, the best in Indiana, playing Indiana. He gave the double exclamation points on top. It's a good sign, right? I think he wanted to. A guy like that probably wants to see just like give me a good year too.
Well, he's talking about like when he's right? Wiltfong's talking about him saying that he wants.
That's a guy Indiana needs to prove it to more than a guy like Josh Pate, right?
Yes. And they're saying that he wants to go to a national title contender, and then one of the teams they listed off was LSU. So it's like I know Indiana's in a better spot than LSU. You know what I mean? In terms of being a national title contender, like Indiana's right up there in that conversation, and that is massive.
Mm-hmm.
I actually do think Fatboy calls this a trap game. Caleb said he didn't think you can call this a trap game. I think this is a trap game, and not necessarily for looking ahead, but for like big game hangover.
I mean,
And like
people
that's
call it letdown spots,
exactly.
right? Same thing as a trap game,
Yep.
right? They're synonymous.
But we have Kurt Signetti. He's a watchdog for complacency, and he was more paranoid in his presser yesterday than I think I've ever seen him. And now, like, if you were a conspiracy theorist, you would be like, "Oh, it's because he's thinking about other things." It's like, no, that dude's literally fucking locked in. Like, he is so nervous about complacency and like stalking it and like not having that around his football team that I feel like he's more locked in this week than he was last week, which is a crazy statement.
Caleb Boggs is a Braves fan. I'm sorry you guys paid an entire lineup that can't hit long term. That stinks. Always remember 3-1, being down 3-1 down in 2020. That was fun. And then because we came back and won the World Series. That was sick.
Yeah.
And then Byron Baldwin getting redshirted this year? And at this point, it looks to be that way.
It does. It does appear that way.
We'd love to see him in the game. Maybe we're saving him for playoffs because you could still play. You could not play the entire regular season, play the playoffs, and still redshirt based on the rules.
That's true, and that's usually like we traditionally during bowl season when they have that week off and or that month off basically, and you don't have that month off when you're playing in the college football playoff, right? It's more like 2-3 weeks, but that would be time where you could get him up to game speed and as potentially somebody you can use, and it wouldn't be egregious to throw him in there. Now it's like I don't know. I would be a little hesitant to put somebody in and have their first snaps be in the second round of the college football playoff potentially. A little nervous, but
pretty, I was joking around.
I don't know. We still like
we were told just hurt, and we're just.
I was about to say we were told day to day 6-7 weeks ago. Like we haven't heard anything about it. Like I don't know. That's not somebody I'm not nervous about that kid like redshirting and hitting the portal or anything like that. I just think like Brad's right. Like he's legitimately hurt and shit happens. Like it sucks and it kind of is what it is. And like he's going to be awesome for the 2026 Indiana Hoosiers. So that's something to look forward to. But I don't know.
And yes, we've talked about Surratt plenty.
Yeah. Fat Boy says it's crazy they kept him one-on-one down the stretch, and I completely agree. I can't believe they didn't double him. That was absolutely insane. But they were so worried about Indiana's ability to run the ball that they couldn't double him.
Exactly. It's really pick your poison. They're such a balanced team that's really hard to really hone in on one particular guy, and that was something we were saying all year, all off season, and it's awesome that between your love of the Hoosiers and my eye test, we were able to basically predict this. It's unreal. Are you ready
the thing is, though, the thing that's so frustrating, and we're going to jump into the game preview here in a second, but it wasn't like it's not like me and you are rocket scientists. We were looking at the inputs and the outputs and making a prediction based on the information we were seeing from very far away. Like if you had the opportunity to get a lot closer to this program in terms of distance and access in terms of Brad and I, like the fact that
bring that word back.
It's funny, Fat Boy. I almost posted that clip today. I might post it tomorrow because I have it, but like.
Yeah, you got time.
Not looking at this team and acknowledging the talent and ability and what the coaching staff was doing told me that you were just not paying attention. And that's why I've been so confident in calling these people out is like, it was so obvious this was going to happen. And I'm not saying like that they're going to go on the road and beat Oregon by 10. Like that wasn't obvious, but the fact that this football team was going to be good and play an aesthetically pleasing brand of football and like matter in the grand scheme of things, like that's pretty damn obvious that they were going to be good.
They were a playoff team that got better in the offseason, and people were shocked that they're a contender now. Like, it's insane, right? It's, like you said, not rocket science to kind of figure out what the Hoosiers were doing. You really just had to look at the two deep and kind of see just how loaded they were and how much experience they had in that two deep is crazy. Haven't even seen much of night and game. They're those are transfers for the future, which is crazy. Just building on that depth as years go on.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me like somebody was like, "How can Indiana be successful?" or whatever. And in modern college football, you can go heavy in the portal to supplant your roster until you can recruit enough cycles to get your guys in there. And it's like early in your tenure, you take more guys in the portal because you can't convince high school kids that's where you go. And then the longer you can stack years, that makes it easier to convince a high school kid that this is the place for you to go. And you don't have to go and bring in people from the outside who are going to be easier to sell on your vision.
I will say, like, as much as I'm tooting my own horn, it's still way ahead of schedule what I ever thought was even possible. I don't think it's even reasonable to expect your own school to have a rebuild like this. I think this is a one in a billion, like quite literally.
This is the only time a rebuild like this has ever happened,
rebuild,
Brad.
Right? Like it's the first time a rebuild like this has ever happened. Right? Yeah. So, and it's funny because it's like not even just like the 11 wins in year one. It's like it happened at the school with the most losses in college football history. Crazy. I don't think we'll ever see anything like a rebuild like that again. Just like how I say, I don't think we'll see a Saban dynasty like that again. But would love to be wrong in the right ways, if you know what I mean.
I pick up what you're putting down, Brad.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, Brad. You pointed this out to me, and I didn't think about it until you mentioned it, but this is the first repeat opponent in the Curt Cignetti era. Yeah, so I don't know how this is going to affect your
double. This is my second time doing a history lesson on Michigan State. I'm doing a whole little lesson on what Michigan State is, what they're all about. Usually I talk about alumni, maybe a cool story here and there. But yeah, we got the Michigan State Spartans from East Lansing. It's time for me. I'm driving the boat now. All right. When you think of Michigan State, give me some alumni, Keezer. Give me some. Who do you think of?
Non-football players or football players?
Any of them, really. Yeah, we just named football players for 30 minutes.
For Connor Cook and Draymond were the first two that came to mind. Jeremy Langford.
I like that. Connor Cook's the all-time leading passer at
Desmond King.
It's good. You don't think of Magic Johnson?
No, I don't.
Yeah. Andre Rison.
Denzel Valentine.
Yeah, Denzel Valentine. Morris Peterson was good way back in the day with Mateen Cleaves. I was trying to think of good basketball players, really. Draymond's a good one. That's usually the go-to there.
Who's there? I can't.
UCLA beat Draymond in the tournament. Fun fact.
We do a I didn't do it last year, but every year, Brad, were you in it last year? The NCAA tournament player draft.
No. Well, I was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I probably was in it last year. Actually.
My strategy in that league every year is just take a bunch of Michigan State guys because they're a 7 seed and they're just going to make a run every year. So all those dudes.
January, February, Izzo.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Tom Izzo, hell of a coach. Some Dodger shout-outs, Kirk Gibson, Steve Garvey, some Dodger legends come out of Michigan State. James Caan, technically a dropout, but a very famous actor back in his day.
Oh, yeah.
T. Grizzly, another dropout. They can claim him, though. Didn't go to another school after, what went down. You guys know the story of T. Grizzly. Anyways, I'll move on. And then I found this. The creator of the Big Mac. A random, a guy who owned about 50 McDonald's chains invented the Big Mac way back in the day. He went to Michigan State. So shout out to Michigan State for the Big Mac. It's my favorite order.
I mean, I don't know.
Big Mac
sauce. Some evil people associated with Michigan State athletics, but we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I try to keep it light and fun.
We try and have fun here.
I try. Joke. Yeah, we don't need to talk about, we can say Joe Paterno, but we can't say the other guy. You know what I mean? It's that type of vibe. Anyways, I'll move on. So Michigan State, a very proud football program. I'd say it started around 1951 with their, Biggie Munn going undefeated, back-to-back years actually.
I can't believe neither of us said Kirk Cousins. Sorry, continue.
Oh, did I not say Kirk Cousins? He was on my list. He's on my script. Anyways, Buggy Munn went 9-0, 9-0, 9-1 with a Rose Bowl win to cap it off, and then they move on to Duffy Daugherty, who kept it going for a little bit, but definitely a drop off. And that's the 50s though, so we'll flash forward. They become basically somewhat irrelevant throughout the time. Duffy Daugherty was there from 54 to 72, and then since that, moving on, they went through 3 coaches in 10 years. You know what that entails, a whole lot of irrelevance, right? You see that. And then they hire a guy named George Pearls, who kind of gets it going a little bit, has some success, and then he eventually retires. He just gets old, right? 1994. And then they hire this Browns defensive coordinator, right? It's wild, risky hire, right? Guy by the name of Nick Saban. Ooh. Goes to 4 bowl games in 5 years. Has a great little run there. Honestly, not the craziest resume. Wins 6 games almost every year, but really didn't have his breakthrough till year 5 when he won 10. And then eventually took the LSU job. And as we all know, then eventually Miami Dolphins and eventually Bama, right? And then that's the story of Nick Saban. And yeah, Nick Saban, and then just bouncing off that, once Nick Saban leaves, early 2000s, kind of, falling into irrelevance again. And then they hire a guy by the name of Mark D'Antonio, who's the current head coach at Cincinnati at the time. Sometimes you just got to get the group of 5 guy and take a chance on him, see if it works out. Works out for some schools. You don't always have to get the flashy name to make it work out. And we all know Mark D'Antonio, just an absolute stud from 07 to 19. He goes to, 12 bowl games in 13 years, including a college football playoff berth where, they run into Nick Saban and the buzzsaw, right? D'Antonio was on that Saban staff at Michigan State, so it made sense to bring him back and as a Michigan Stater and kind of bring back that Nick Saban, energy that was building before he took the LSU job, and to bring that back and really made Michigan State the relevant football program that it is today. So shout out Mark D'Antonio. Good for him. But then after he retired, they hired a former Jacksonville Jaguars interim head coach, Mel Tucker, and had a sweet little story for a little bit. And eventually that, we keep it light and fun here. A lot of things to dodge if you want to keep it light and fun with Michigan State. And then that eventually didn't work out, and we all know why. I don't really need to sit here and explain why Mel Tucker's not at Michigan State anymore. They go ahead and hire a guy who had a high clicking offense, a Pasadena native like myself, born in the same hospital as me. Fun fact. Jonathan Smith, a legendary quarterback, Glendora High School. Shout out Glendora High School. Shout out LA. And he was a legendary quarterback at Oregon State. Legendary, like one of the GOATs. And they're able to pull him away from his alma mater to go take the Michigan State job, and goes 5-7 year one. Like typically, you take that, that's it. Saban went 6-6 at Bama year one. So it's not too far off. And they had high hopes going into this year 2 with Aiden Childs, and they eventually, they start out strong, 3-0, Western Michigan dub, Boston College dub and double OTs, Youngstown State, but really haven't beaten anyone. That Youngstown State, giving up 24 to Youngstown. Proud program and tradition. You think Jim Tressel, you think Bo Pelini, Youngstown boys, yeah. And but they're not there anymore, and they're giving up 24 points to the Penguins. That's crazy. And then they kind of show their true colors as they're 0-3 in the Big Ten now, with losses to USC by 14 on the road, Nebraska on the road by 11, and then this past weekend they ran into a buzzsaw known as the UCLA Bruins, lost 38-13 at home, which brings us to October 11th, 2025, Memorial Stadium. That's this Saturday on Peacock, 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 local kick. It's the number 3 ranked Indiana Hoosiers taking on the 3-3 Michigan State Spartans in a rivalry game, the brass spittoon game. The spread, Indiana minus 27.5.
Ooh, it went up.
52.5 total. And in terms of history here, obviously Michigan State, that seems to be a common theme when we do these previews, right? Michigan State leads the series 50-19. However, Indiana has won 3 of the last 5. I just set the table.
Yeah, usually I know yesterday
lessons ever.
No, that was phenomenal. I got distracted slightly by Caleb's message in the chat saying it feels like every time Coach Eddie tweets, we get a recruitment or we get a commit. Coach Eddie has sent out it's a great time to be a Hoosier tweet with the eyes and attached to nothing. So good call.
That's when you know.
Yeah, definitely be on the lookout for something in the near future on that front. That's super, super exciting. But no, Brad, first of all, I love the fact that you do these history lessons. I was a little nervous given the fact that this is our first double up, but I mean, I don't even really remember much of you know what I mean? Like it's been so long that
I've been trying to keep it more short and sweet because I don't want to go on a soapbox here and just spew about Michigan State for 20 minutes. So I try to keep it short, made it 10 minutes today. Speed run it. Yeah.
It's just
we gotta talk about it now, man.
For Oregon, I had a whole
is irrelevant to us.
Right? I had a whole page of notes for Oregon and like these are the takeaways and here are the things they're doing defensively. Blah, 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 blah. It is pretty simple when it comes to this Michigan State team. Like you hit Aiden Childs early and make him uncomfortable and take away Nick Marsh, and they're just not going to hurt you in too many different ways. Like they're not an elite rushing team. They have a bunch of different guys who can get after the quarterback, but they're not an elite team at getting after the quarterback. They don't create negative plays. Like they're not ball hawks. Like Indiana's a significantly better team. I think that's reflected in the line, and they're better everywhere. And this is literally the classic trap game where you come off your biggest or letdown game where you come off the biggest win in your program's history and you're playing in a rivalry game and it's a game everybody expects you to win by 30. That being said, like I've said a bunch of times this episode, we have Curt Cignetti. That dude is so paranoid about complacency that like it feels like he's again even more locked in this week than he was last week. So it's like unless the moment of homecoming and the like this is where being humble and hungry like really takes into effect. Like unless that mindset and mentality changes, like this, they're gonna roll Michigan State. Like we can get into the keys to success. Like key number 1 is remain humble and hungry. Like take Michigan State seriously, because for as much as like me and you can look at Michigan State and be like, yeah, they're not a great football team. Like Indiana should kill them. Like they're a Big Ten football team. Like they're a Big Ten roster. They have a Big Ten coaching staff. Like they have a quarterback who can make plays. We saw what a 1 year younger Aiden Childs and Nick Marsh were able to do to Indiana on the opening drive last year. Now I know that game was on the road for Indiana, at home for Michigan State, but like those guys can burn you. You can get hurt in this game, but if Indiana takes them seriously, like this should be a really nice showcase and really nice recruiting weekend for them.
Yeah, I'm going to call out another player. Amari Kelly is a really good player over at Michigan State. He's actually the leading receiver, the transfer from Auburn. Those are the guys I'm going to highlight. Aiden Childs, Nick Marsh, Amari Kelly. Keep those guys at bay. Don't let them get too comfortable. We have the matchup to get it done. Shouldn't be too big of an issue. A very suspect defense, like I said, 24 on Youngstown State. This is not a Youngstown State offense that's going to be rolling through in Bloomington this Saturday. It's the Indiana Hoosiers, the team that was able to put up 30 on the road in Eugene just a week ago, get it done against Iowa and put up 63 on Illinois, a team that is known for, rugged, making teams uncomfortable. Didn't matter to them. That was Indiana's last home game, was the Illinois game. It's been so long.
Jumping.
Yeah.
The Rock will be packed for sure.
People are chomping at the bit to get back. It's going to be a great game. I have friends going. We're obviously going to the next week. But yeah, it's gonna be rocking. We're gonna have boots on the ground. I'm gonna have insider agents there. It's gonna be awesome. And yeah, I think we just got to keep those weapons that they have at bay, and it really shouldn't be too big of an issue. Fun fact: last 7 games, the home team is 0-7 against the spread in this matchup.
Interesting. I like that to change. I like that to change in a big way.
Yeah, I think trends are meant to be broken, and this feels like a perfect spot for that to happen. Just considering what happened last year, right? It's they come out hot, 10-0. You know, first time the team sees adversity all year, what do? They rattle off 47 points. This team is better than that team talent-wise. They probably have better intangibles as well, just considering what they were able to do at Oregon. Fernando Mendoza, like, this isn't a knock on Curtis Rourke. Like, this is just praise for Fernando, right? Like, that kid is wicked up in the brain, right? And
he's gonna be the number 1 pick, Brad. I don't like I'm I don't hesitate saying that.
Yeah, and these boys are gonna be humming. Defense is gonna get after it, right? It's gonna be a big game for Sharp and Farrell and all those guys. Not to let Kelly get past and make a big play, and Pons to shut down Marsh, and Sharp's probably gonna be matched up with Marsh as well. I don't think this is like as good as those guys are. I think this is a type of game where, I don't think we have to clamp Pons to Nick Marsh the entire game. I think our pass rush is really going to get it done. The Michigan State trench play is not up to par to what we've seen the past 2 games in terms of Iowa and Oregon. And this team just continues to get better. Like, there's probably some things to clean up in that Oregon game as well. And that's always a good sign when you're going to a game like this. And like you said, Sig's a watchdog for complacency. They're going to be buzzing. I've never seen this team come out flat.
Yeah, that is, like, as much as I want to point out that could be a possibility given the circumstances, that is like
even
the second least amount of, like, that is the second least thing I'm concerned about this week, and the first least thing is Signetti leaving. You know what I mean? So they're equally neither of those things are happening. Like, this team's going to show up to play this weekend. Fat Boy say we sent Dante Moore back to school for another year.
I don't think that's true, to be honest, but
I don't know. We sacked him 6 times, Brad. Made that offensive line look like mincemeat. It was really impressive stuff. Key to success number 2: execute on offense. One of the reasons why we continue to bring up Old Dominion over and over again is because, for as good as Indiana looked on defense in that game outside of 2 plays, we wanted more from the Indiana offense. I'm not saying Michigan State. I don't know where I would put Michigan State comparatively to Old Dominion, but I'd like to see Indiana execute on offense at a high level and put up a bunch of points in this game. Selfishly, I really would. Is that a key to success? I mean, obviously executing offense is a key to success, but I just want to see them go down the field against an inferior defense. And, like, I watched what you guys just did against Oregon. Like, go do the same thing against Michigan State and see what the score ends up being.
Yeah, I'm expecting the offense to make them quit a very similar way to Illinois by the mid third quarter. This defense there's not a whole lot of NFL talent on it. I'll highlight one guy, and Jalen Thompson. He's going to be wearing number 9. He's a good player. He's going to have to deal with Carter Smith all day. He's going to be, he's might make a play or two maybe if he has a great game. Even if he has a great game, right? It's not like he's going to absolutely wreck the game for this team. They're going to figure out ways, screen game, RPO, or just run it down their throat, or run some spread pass game. Like, they can do anything against this defense, and it's the results on the field for Michigan State paint that story very explicitly, that Indiana is going to be able to move the ball at will.
Yep. Key number 3. Again, another selfish one. These are all selfish. Display wide receiver depth. We talked about the rotation shrinking, especially in hostile environments. We believe they have a lot of talent there. Guys like Jonathan Brady, guys like the LeBron Bond and Miles Kendrick, some of these freshmen. Like Charlie Becker is somebody we saw get on the field pretty early after the EJ injury. Like, I'd like to see some of those guys, get opportunities in the pass game against, like, in games where you can afford to take chances and get those guys opportunities. Because like we know Surratt's going to eat, we know Cooper's going to eat regardless of competition level. And yes, obviously you feed those guys as well. But I know they have some young talent in that room that it would just be cool to see get out in the field.
One thing that I almost forgot about, they threw a deep ball to Charlie Becker in the Oregon game. Tried to get him a tutty. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was
great play by the Oregon DB. But yeah, I would love to see, like, specifically Charlie Becker and Johnny Brady. The more those guys can get touches and step up into this offense, I think for the better, right? Like EJ's obviously that Miles Cross third receiver role, very similar to last year. Don't really have guys doing the Miles Price, Keyshawn Williams. It's really Coop and Surratt just filling in that production, which is awesome because they're NFL guys. But to see, this next stretch up until even through Penn State and up until, a potential Big Ten championship game, it's going to be very important for guys like Becker and Johnny Brady to really find their roles and produce for the team and alleviate some pressure on Surratt and be able to, because eventually it's going to get based on the production. Like, it's like, okay, we got to focus on those two guys. So then it comes down to guys like Becker and Brady to step up.
I would agree. Number 4 is get aggressive. And this is, again, another thing I'm never worried about when it comes to Indiana on either side of the ball. They love
aggressive.
Their explosive play rate, though, is still pretty low in a game where you're going to have the better, like, you're just going to have the better athletes, better scheme, better. Like, I like to see some explosive plays on both. Like, and I know that defensively they're going to get after him. And it kind of goes into number 5, which is sack the quarterback a lot. You look at
which they do a lot.
Like, how does Indiana lose this game, right? It's like Aiden Childs probably has a really special day. Like, so how do you stop Aiden Childs from having a special day? Like, put him on the ground over and over again. So I really like Kamara to get going in this week. I know we say that every week, and it feels like every week the guy gets into the backfield and then he gets hugged to the ground and nobody wants to call it. Eventually, it's just going to be an avalanche for that dude. And so until that happens, I'll keep picking it. But I get after the quarterback, put Aiden Childs on the ground over and over again. And like we watched the way that Michigan State team in the infighting and the way they quit on themselves at home last week against UCLA. Like, what are they going to do on the road in a hostile environment in a crowd that is going to be jacked up to see their number 3 ranked Indiana Hoosiers? Like, it's hit them in the teeth and see what happens. Because that's not Oregon you're playing this week.
Yeah, it's going to be tough sledding, and it's actually a really tough matchup for Michigan State because, we get knocked for having a small defensive line, which might be true, but what it creates is a more athletic defensive line, right? And with a mobile quarterback, which Indiana has had troubles in the past, but Childs isn't necessarily that runner. He's more so, I'm going to create a play and throw it. Having guys like Tyreek Tucker and Landino in the middle with freaks like Kellen Wyatt outside, it's going to be tough for him to do that. And he's not going to be able – it's not going to be like last year for him where they're able to be comfortable for an entire quarter for what it seemed.
Do you have a score prediction?
Score predictions are about to get really fun these days.
Yeah, these next couple of weeks, they get very fun.
I like 63. 63 to 6.
With the lines, the overs, what, 52.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Indiana.
I saw that over. I'm like, we're beating that over ourselves.
Yeah. They put up what? How many on Illinois? 65? 63. God. I feel like Illinois is better. You can't do football transitive property, but like, are they going to beat Wisconsin by 100? You know what I mean? Like,
it's really hard to do. Like, what's tough about this team is that they're going to have a lot of games where they're going to have to like bench their starters for the fourth quarter, and
yeah, which isn't a bad thing.
A lot of that, and I'm very confident in saying that just after seeing like what I think has been the toughest stretch in college football so far, and what we had to deal with Illinois, at Iowa, at Oregon, and handled that 3-0, which is astronomically impressive. Like, just unbelievable to get that done. Well, not like unbelievable, just like very impressive, right?
I'm going to say Indiana I think Indiana, if they get into the 70s against Michigan State, is going to score 80 this year against Wisconsin. And because I'm a sicko and I want to see it, I think they get into the 70s. I'm going to say it is 70. God, that's so many points. They would have to score 10 touchdowns.
It's a lot of tutties.
So many touchdowns. Fuck it. I'm doing it. I'm going to say
We'll
70 to 3.
Yeah.
I'm going to say 70 to 3.
I'm going to say 63. I'm going to change your mind. It's not 6, it's 7. Because I don't see them driving down the field twice, but I do. Childs and those, I'm going to give those quarterbacks and receivers some credit. I think they're going to score a touchdown. But that's it for them.
Yeah. I just feels comical to say, but like they just gave up 38 points at home to a UCLA team that is literally still figuring out who they're like. They don't even have a coach. Just gave up 40 points at home.
Dude, they went through a stretch of Illinois, Iowa, and Oregon and gave up 3 total touchdowns.
That's what I'm saying. And the team they're playing just gave up 40 at home to UCLA.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not rocket science.
It is not rocket science. No,
it's going to be great having this type of confidence because we know, like, we're being rat poisoned right now. Is what we're doing.
Yes,
but we can do it because I know for a fact that Sine is like, fuck these guys. You know, you're not shit. You know, these guys are gonna be fired up. Like they have bigger goals in mind than just being hyped up by Goom and Alec Keys around.
Dude, they haven't won shit yet. They won a regular season Big Ten game. Like,
oh yeah,
like Fat Boy saying in the chat, like mandatory to bench them if we're thinking Big Ten title and playoffs. Like, I full blown agree. Like, that is the goal. Like, changing public perception and all that good stuff is like great for recruiting, but like if you're talking about the individual goals of this 2025 Indiana Hoosiers football team, like who gives a shit what anybody else outside that room is saying? Like they control their own destiny. You win out the rest of your football games, you're playing in the Big Ten title game. Like you'll be in Indianapolis, regardless of who's across from you. And it looks like it's going to be Ohio State, and that would be an epic matchup. And then if you are an undefeated team playing for the Big Ten title, you're a lock for the playoff. So then you're in, and then it's about figuring out how to survive that gauntlet. But you just want to be able to be in the conversation, and then being able to recruit off this momentum and bring in people for the Michigan State game, which like the list of guys is starting to come out and like who's going to be attending this weekend and like some exciting names on those lists. And then you look at like what they're going to be able to do for a UCLA game where they still haven't even announced the time for the game yet. And I'm thinking that might end up being like, is that going to be a CBS game for a little Neuheisel family?
Might have to
send
be.
CBS back to Bloomington. You know, it's not a bad place to be while we're in the building. So there's a lot of really cool opportunity for this team to both test its depth, to recruit, to flex its muscle. And you're right. They got through what we thought was going to be the hardest stretch of the season and passed with flying colors. And yeah, this is the fun part.
3 touchdowns in that stretch. If you told me that before the year, I straight up, as good as I thought this team was going to be, I just wouldn't believe you. I just wouldn't buy it. Like I was just like, there's just no way that they play at that level. It's just, like that's just like Bama. That's Bama type shit. Like I'm not. Yeah, that's what Bama used to do.
Yeah,
like,
that's as good a defense as there is in the country.
Yeah, 100%. Caleb Boggs, great shout out. December 6th could be an awesome IU sports day in Indy. Indiana is playing Louisville at around 2:30 local time in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and then the Big Ten Championships at 8:30 that night. Could be an epic day to be a Hoosier. I mean, the dream has always been to get to the Big Ten title in Indy because that becomes a home game for the Hoosiers.
Yeah. And the Big Ten title, it looks like, and I mean, I don't know how true.
Why they've had to move it to Vegas.
Exactly. They're about to move it to Vegas was going to be my point. So it's like, yeah, get there before they move it to Vegas, take advantage of that home field advantage. And yeah, that could be an all-time sports day in Indy. But that's way too far ahead. They got Michigan State in front of them, and Brad and I just both think they're going to boat race Michigan State. It's awesome that, like, I'll say this, and to round off the Michigan State talk and to kind of put a bow on this, and then we could run the slate if you want to. The last time I was in Bloomington, Indiana was October, I believe, of 2021. It was for homecoming that year, and it was the Ohio State game. And I sat in the rain and watched Ohio State beat Indiana 50-6. And now for homecoming this year, They're 27-point favorites in a rivalry game, and we both just picked them to win by 60 plus.
We probably picked them to win by a combined score of like 130 between our two scores. Unreal.
Like it is. I will not take for granted what we're witnessing as Indiana football fans. I just won't. Like this is a special time. These things don't happen, and I just again I for someone who just spoke for an hour and a half, I feel like I still struggle to find the words to explain how it feels to be an Indiana football fan in 2025. But God damn it, here we are.
Dodgers, Hoosiers, Bears. It's all looking good for me. Right
hey,
now.
It was summer of Brad. Now it's the fall. It's the month of Brad, and I don't know what's next, but
it's scary hours. If you're an enemy of Brad right now, scary hours. All right, slate time.
I was gonna say, do you want to run the slate or do you want to watch Dodger baseball?
We could do a quick run through. I mean, I'm kind of watching. Yoshi's doing his thing. You know, he's got one on, bottom of the fifth, 1-1. He's got Bryce Terang up, so I think it'll be all right. Yeah, so we can rip it a little bit. Bryce Terang can't touch that shit. LSU at Vandy. Noon. ABC at Vandy. Vandy is a 2.5-point favorite at home against the Tigers of LSU. When does that ever happen?
It makes sense, though.
Yeah. Diego Pavia is the leading rusher between both teams in this game. That's fun.
That's insane. How is that true? How is that true for a game that features LSU?
Yeah, he has 350 on the ground this year, and I guess LSU just doesn't have a guy at that level.
That's crazy.
All right, quick pick, though.
I like Vandy.
I like the Tigers just because I had them hyped up in the preseason. So I got guys.
I think college sports is where home field matters the most, and give me Vandy.
Yeah, fair enough. By the way, I was right on the Michigan game, though, last week. Yeah,
you were. You were. Oh, I said, as I'm saying, home field matters. I picked the team going on the road. Did you sidebar again?
No. You're right. Vandy's at home.
No, but I was saying, as I'm saying that, I picked against the home team last week. But did you see Sharon Moore today or yesterday in his presser?
He's click farming, man.
Showed up in like a mechanic jacket with his name on it.
Telling you, man. I said it in the preview, man. He's just not Jim Harbaugh. He's just not. No. I mean, he's a good coach doing it his own way, I'm sure.
No, the Michigan stuff is the Michigan stuff is funny because people are like, oh, like Michigan was mediocre, and then all of a sudden they got good for 2 years and they're mediocre. They must have cheated, and it's like maybe it was the NFL head coach and the 13 guys, which was a school record that they sent to the league, and which included quarterback who was drafted 10th. Maybe it was that.
Yeah, probably something.
Maybe they had 30 NFL guys on the roster. Maybe that was the reason why they were really good for multiple years. I digress.
Another ranked matchup. So for those at home, what we do is ranked matchups national, and then we just run through the Big Ten. Lots of ranked matchups this weekend, so a lot to cover. Ole Miss at Georgia. Georgia's an 8.5-point favorite at home, and it's Ole Miss. And we all watched that Wazoo game that got really spooky for the Rebels.
Trap game.
That is so Pac-12 Brad was smiling ear to ear watching the Cougs pull off a scare on the road. Classic Cougs. Classic.
Ole Miss is a classically undisciplined football team, so that doesn't surprise me in the least bit. It also wouldn't surprise me in the least bit they showed up ready to play this week. Isn't Lane Kiffin's daughter dating the Georgia linebacker?
No, he's dating the LSU linebacker. I called that out when they played, and that's why I picked Ole Miss to win that game because I think that was going to work against them, right? Because Lane Kiffin. I think
Ole Miss comes ready to play in this game. I think I like Ole Miss to cover. I don't know if I like them to win that game because it's hard to win at Georgia, but I like Ole Miss.
I love how we're off today. I'm taking the dogs at home between the hedges. Like, come on now, what are we doing? They're going to be buzzing. Top 10 matchup. It's going to be epic. That's on at 2:30 on ABC right after.
I didn't take Georgia
to lose. You're going to be on ABC all day on Saturday for sure. This one's not a ranked matchup, but Texas Tech, Arizona State on the road. This is with Texas Tech undefeated watch. I just want to throw this one in there. This is a spot. It's just a spot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Defending Big
12 Dillingham. Well, no. Do they get Sam Levitt back or no?
That's the key. That is the key, and I wish I knew the answer to that. You know, I wish I was paying enough attention to Arizona State, but like when you're top dog, like that's what I've kind of noticed. Like when you're top dog, like it's really just all about your team, and you start to follow these other teams less.
Yeah, I don't.
He was taking first team reps in practice this week. Just looked it up real quick. Texas Tech is a 9.5-point favorite.
This burner account says he's been ruled out due to cyberbullying, so he's probably playing.
Yeah, if he plays, I like Arizona State to win this game. Upset watch. I like it. Just the energy. Tempe can become a real tough place to play. Their fans don't mess around. They like to party. They like to get rowdy. It's a great stadium. It can get weird over there. So,
what's the line on that game?
9.5 for Texas Tech.
They don't think Levitt's playing.
Yeah,
I'll put a caveat in there. If Levitt plays, I like Arizona State in the points, and if he doesn't, I like Texas.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too.
Feels like cheating.
Let's keep it ranked. Old school rivalry: Tennessee at Bama. Bama's a 7.5-point favorite against Tennessee, who is very good, should be undefeated. Somehow didn't win that Georgia game. That was also on the road. They
played Georgia at home.
Game of the week.
They played Georgia at home.
You sure? Yeah. Yeah, you're right. My memory just clicked in. Yeah, that was at Tennessee.
If that game was at Georgia, I think I'd be taking Tennessee in this game. What's the line?
It's 7.5 for Bama.
7.5.
Really favorable.
I probably do like Bama in the points.
You like Bama in the points?
I could talk myself into Tennessee, but I don't know.
I like a 58.5-point over. I also like a volunteer victory.
Fat Boy had boots on the ground at that game. He was at, is it Neyland Stadium, right? In Tennessee?
Neyland.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the Vols to get the upset. Maybe a homer pick. My uncle went to Tennessee, so that's always kind of in my school in the South.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a team I've always kind of somewhat followed. I like them this year. This is one of the better Tennessee. This is probably the best Tennessee team I've seen since Josh Dobbs and Jalen Hurd were there, and Alvin Kamara. How about that?
What about the Hendon Hooker team?
I think that Josh Dobbs team is pretty damn good. They just had a really SEC was really good that year. But yeah, I like how we're differentiating picks though today. I do like the over in that game though a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Big one, big rivalry. NBC, 6:30. It's the Trojans and Fighting Irish. Playoff implications, specifically for both teams, I would say.
This game is at Notre Dame.
I said Bama Tennessee's game of the week. If it's not that, it's this game.
It really comes down to, has CJ Carr figured out how to not play like a freshman in these big moments? Because he's looked very much like a freshman in these games, and his lack of composure feels like it's been the difference, because they were right there against Miami and they were right there against A&M at home. The fact that this game is at home and their defense is playing well and all the metrics really like Notre Dame, like I probably do lean that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if USC beat them. What's the spread?
8.5.
8.5 Notre Dame.
61.5 total. So we're looking at fireworks.
Oh yeah, what was it? 42-40 or 42-41 when A&M went there?
Oh yeah.
And USC's offense is every bit as good as anybody in the country.
Yep. I like the Trojans here. Maeva had him on the ropes last year and threw 2 red zone pick sixes to end the game last year at home. If you guys remember watching that one toward the end of the year. It's funny because I told a Notre Dame fan I think Notre Dame's going to get it done and win out, go to the playoff, but I've been thinking about this game for a little bit since then. Like the Trojans, I think they're an opportunistic defense with Danton Lynn. Like they're obviously not the best at stopping like yards and touchdowns and things like that, but I think they're opportunistic. They're going to get enough turnovers to get the job done on the road.
I don't know. I don't see it. I think that crowd's going to be bloodthirsty given that the perception and like at least the way it looks like from my angle is like USC is running from this matchup. And so this is going to be the last chance that the crowd gets. So it's like, it's like I don't know, like is Marcus Freeman actually taking phone calls from like, I could build a narrative for Notre Dame being in trouble in this game, but I also think they're probably just a tier above USC.
Yeah.
And
I have respect for Notre Dame. I've watched this game every year for so long. I know the road and home, it really doesn't matter in this game. I've seen USC win big at Notre Dame when they're both good. I've seen Notre Dame win big at USC when they're both good. I like the Trojans here. And we're just differentiating. I like it.
We're on opposite sides of the street.
Great slate this weekend. Yeah.
That is a sign of a great slate when you're not just like agreeing on every pick.
Exactly. And last non-Big Ten matchup, we got a ranked game. It's Big 12 after dark. It's Utah at BYU. It's the Holy War. Get excited. Utah is a 3.5-point favorite on the road. The 49.5 total.
That's just taking advantage of a true freshman starting quarterback.
That Utah defense. I think this
Evan
is
Dampier
page here. Bear Bachmeier is a hell of a player. He's got that dual threat, that read option going really well for him.
He's the best rated true freshman starting quarterback right now, for what it's worth.
You can't trust Lincoln Riley on the road.
He's right.
Yeah, offense doesn't travel, so you got a point there. But it's still warm out, so good for them. They might figure it out. But yeah, Utah, BYU. I'm still very high on Utah. Their only loss this year was Texas Tech on the road, or that was actually a home game for them. Texas Tech showed everyone flex their muscles a little bit. This would be a big win for Texas Tech if Utah's able to pull this out. I like the Utes. I like the Utes here. Yeah, I like Devin Dampier. I think he's going to show out and just outplay Bear Bachmeier for the win.
We're going to agree here. I like the Utes as well. When you have two teams that are pretty similar and the only difference is like a glaring one at quarterback. Not that, again, Bachmeier is a bad player, but I like Utah.
Hell yeah. All right, Big Ten time. Hold on. Let me click around a little bit. All right. Friday Night Lights on Fox. We got the 25 ranked Nebraska Cornhuskers. Look at them. Look at that. Look at them go.
Thank you, Nebraska.
Thank you, Nebraska. Look at them go. I always root for Nebraska because they made us what we are. And then they're going to Minnesota.
Oh, I like this game a lot.
Nebraska's an 8.5-point favorite. That's a fun Friday watch. These are solid Big Ten teams.
I like Nebraska money line, but I like Minnesota points.
I like that a lot.
And I hate the over.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. I'm just not – Drake Lindsey's had some pretty good games so far, but it's just eye test, Raiola is a hell of a player, hell of a quarterback. He's having a great year. I think he continues it. I think Nebraska gets it done on the road, gets a big win, honestly. Good momentum. They actually have a very, accommodating schedule for them to potentially sneak into a playoff at 10-2, 11-1. They can just figure it out. Something to keep an eye on. They might be
Penn State.
They might be this year's Indiana
coaching candidate. How many Penn State coaching candidates are going to make the playoffs this year? 7?
Yeah. Oh, I'll throw PJ Fleck into that Penn State combo. Why not? I'll throw him in there. Row the boat.
That would be funny.
That would be awesome.
That would be
awesome. That guy's always looking around. In more ways than one, if you know anything about his personal life. Oh yeah. Those who don't know, he married a hooker. But anyway, that's wild.
Hey, we don't judge anybody.
Yeah, dude, you do what you do. Yeah. Everyone's got their own cup of tea.
Nothing wrong with love.
Yeah, love's love. Yeah, I'm not gonna root against love. Never gonna do it. You never catch me doing it. All right, then big noon kickoff this weekend. We got Washington. We got the Huskies. They're going to the big house. That's a fun, just aesthetically pleasing.
Game.
Like when you bring those West Coast schools in, like seeing those, the Big Ten Blue Bloods versus the West Coast schools, always a good time. Always a fun matchup. Because like how I think, those are top half programs, those West Coast schools. And yeah, Michigan 6.5-point favorite at home. Not quite the number you'd expect as a home team.
How's Michigan's run defense? So I don't know enough about their team this year.
They're not last year. That's what I'll say. They are not last year.
6.5. Kind of like Washington.
I kind of like the Huskies too.
I don't like the energy around this Michigan team right now, and I don't think they're gonna fire their coach because they're gonna look at the turmoil around this Penn State thing and look at the way Penn State tries to shoulder and throw around money, and they're not gonna want to be embarrassed the same way that Penn State's gonna end up getting embarrassed. So I don't think they fire him, but like I mean I wouldn't I don't think it's a coincidence we started to see Signetti edits in Michigan gear on their timelines this week because I did see that start to pop up.
Oh,
and
no.
Told TJ over at the Michigan channel, like, relax over there because it's don't even get me started.
That's actually a school that I'd be somewhat afraid of, but it's just not going to happen, right? Like
I'm not afraid of any school. I'm not afraid of any school.
I like Michigan, and in the words of Lee Corso, close.
Give me Washington.
I like the Washington points. I like Michigan, though, to win.
Give me Washington outright.
That game might go overtime. That game might go like 5.
Give me Washington outright. See, here's what would make it even funnier if Washington won this game and then Michigan beat Ohio State again.
Yeah, like Michigan's like 6-5 going into Ohio State and then win. That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be sick. Yeah, Michigan close though. Michigan close. That's the only noon game in the Big Ten. We go right to 2:00 on Big Ten Network. We got Purdue at Northwestern. Northwestern's a 3.5-point favorite at home against Purdue. A fun little bottom of the barrel toilet bowl in the Big Ten. We got it. Told you this was a good slate this week.
It is a good slate.
Yeah. That's gonna be a fun
on
game.
On principle alone, I'm not taking Purdue. So give me Northwestern point spread, all of it.
Yeah, I like Northwestern
money line. Give me the Wildcats.
Evanston Tech, baby. All right. CBS, Ohio State at Wisconsin, 24.5 for obviously Ohio State. Here's the kicker, though. You want to know where the total's at?
25.
40.5. Crazy. That's so low.
But it's Ohio State minus what?
24.5.
They think
so Vegas is projecting.
Vegas thinks Wisconsin scoring like 20 points on this Ohio State defense. That's what you're telling me?
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah, I don't buy that for a second.
Nothing,
I like the under and I like
42-0. I'm not.
Yeah, sure. I like the under and I like Ohio State, but that is ludicrous. No, they're not. They didn't score against Iowa. They're not scoring.
Yeah, on the road. I like the Buckeyes.
Not happening. Yeah, give me the
spread and under
and the points and the under.
Yeah, I like the under just because it's Wisconsin at home. All right, then we're skipping. Then we got our game at 2:30. Then we're going right to the afternoon slate. We got 4 afternoon games. Oregon at Rutgers. Oregon is a 17.5-point favorite on the road in Piscataway. 60-point total. I think we all know it's going to happen here, right?
It's a get-right game. This is a get-right game.
Yeah.
Oregon. If Oregon doesn't slaughter Rutgers, then you got to hit the panic button. And like that would be a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
This game's later in the day too. You said 3:30.
5:30 Central.
5:30.
6:30
So
local
6:30
kick.
Eastern.
Yeah.
So what is that? What time is that local for Oregon?
3:30.
Oh, it's only 3 hours. So yeah. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, I like Oregon a lot in that game.
Oregon points. Yeah.
Yes, all of it.
And
yeah,
the over.
I think that's a get right.
Rutgers is a really good pass game. Don't know
Yeah,
how
they'll be able to expose
Oregon,
some things in the Oregon secondary and take advantage of some things Indiana was able to take advantage of, but also like Rutgers has no run game.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a terrible matchup for them, but they're at home, so.
All right, I've called a lot of games of the week. This one might be my favorite. We got Penn State going to Iowa.
How is that your favorite game? This game's going to be a dumpster
James
fire.
Franklin firing. Your first game as interim head coach. You got to go to Kinnick.
Yeah, disaster. I like Iowa in a rock fight.
I like Iowa in a rock fight too. Season's over. Like, these guys gonna play for something? Like, if it gets weird, like what is gonna keep? By the way, Drew Aller has an 8-3 TD interception ratio. Your Drew Aller narrative couldn't be more on fire right now.
He's out for the year now, Brad.
Yeah. Oh, I totally forgot about that too. Yeah, Iowa in an absolute dogfight. But yeah, 8-3.
No Gronowski. No, yeah, it literally might be like 9-2.
Yeah, Hank Brown legacy game.
I think the score is going to be 3-2 Iowa.
Yeah, I like Iowa in this one as well. They're going to get to 8 wins, you know. This is just part of just another notch.
It's just what he does, man.
Yeah.
It's just what he does.
And here's a fun one. We got Maryland. They're going to the Rose Bowl. 3.5.
Dogs.
For UCLA. 3.5-point dogs on the road in the Rose Bowl, taking on the hottest team in the country, the UCLA Bruins.
How do you not take the fight in Neuheisels?
You take the fight in Neuheisels and you take the over.
Yeah.
You take the Bruins team total over. Somehow
you take offense and you take the Bruins.
You take the over and you take the Bruins.
The fairy tale will end at some point, but it's not ending this weekend.
I think I know which weekend it is, though. I think I have a feeling. Yeah.
We'll be watching.
Maryland's a good team, though. I'm not going to sleep on
Maryland is a good team. They're just young. They got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
A lot of talent. Any final thoughts on the slate, Brad?
Electric slate. Super excited to get out, especially in the SEC. I'll give them some credit. Great slate this week. Will anyone show up for the game for UCLA? My dad and my mom will.
That 25-man field storm was awesome.
So here's the story about the 25-man field storm. Is that I was actually shocked that people were even able to get on the field at the Rose Bowl, because you're actually not allowed to storm the field there. It's actually not allowed. They don't. It's never happened. I've watched UCLA win over number 1 ranked USC, knock them out of the title game. No field storm, because it's just not allowed. You actually get arrested and put in jail for going on the field at the Rose Bowl, as far as my knowledge took me. So, I was just shocked there were people on the field in general. I was like, this not only has – it starts from the top, you know, like everything's gone downhill. The security at the Rose Bowl has gotten worse. Everything's gotten worse in the UCLA football program. And even the security preventing them from touching the Rose Bowl field, right? It all starts, you know, it all trickles down. And yeah, I was shocked that was even a thing that was happening. People on the field at the Rose Bowl, that was like, that wasn't like a concept for me. So yeah, when they were clowning the Rose Bowl, I was like, I actually know like the real tea here, and that like, no, you don't storm the field at the Rose Bowl. It's like it's a monument, you know?
That's too funny.
Yeah.
That is too funny. That's your closing thought.
Final thoughts on the slate. Yeah, because, you know, Fat Boy teed me up here. So, yeah, that's my thought.
No. I just meant on the episode in general. Like, we're wrapping up here.
Yeah, it's so fun to be able to preview games and have, like, this, like, obviously we knew that, like, Indiana's really good, but there's always, like, that PTSD, those dark thoughts in your head. Like, what if this is all just a pipe dream, right? And it's fun to just be able to go in these games with a lot of confidence. And just know you're going to win. It's just really about like how much, how are we going to win? And that's a fun way to get after it. And, you know, we're not going to look over any teams. You know, there is a possibility Aiden Childs has a magical day and becomes a legend and knocks off the undefeated Hoosiers. Like, that is a reality. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I full-blown agree with you. I agree that Kurt Signetti and co and the players and that everyone associated with this program has taken it to a place where we can sit here in a rivalry game during homecoming week and speak so confidently about what we were predicting to be a blowout. It's again, I said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not taking for granted any of this time. I'm enjoying every single second of it as it comes through because this shit doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Sig's just not going to let a team come to our place and take our trophy.
Hell no. Are you kidding me? That's his trophy. He held it up. It's literally it's in a glass case right now. Like, and that glass case didn't have like an opening in it. Like, it's not coming out.
No.
So, you can follow us on Twitter at IndianaVOCFB. If you're watching on the Sigs Inside Twitter account, hop on over to YouTube. Please like, comment, subscribe, share to Indiana at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. You can follow the Voice of College Football at VOCFB or at the VOCFB. You can follow me at Alec Keiser. You can follow Brad at Bradley_Loomis8. Yeah, we'll have videos coming out on the channel. Hopefully, I don't know, maybe our first ever like recruiting breaking news. We'll see what happens later this week, but big time opportunity for Indiana to put some really fun stuff on the field this weekend. And Brad, we're creeping 1 week closer to having boots on the ground ourselves in Bloomington, which is really fun. So,
inching day by day. I'm counting the days. You're about 9 days from being in Chicago. Can't wait.
Yeah, I know. I'm pumped, dude. I'm so pumped. And then I will say, before I leave for Chicago, and I'll even say this, before next episode, we'll have outro music. But until then, we're going to have to stare awkwardly at the screen. So I appreciate everybody for hanging out with us this week.
Gotta figure it out.
We'll be back. I'll be back on Saturday night or Saturday with an initial reaction video. Brad and I will be back Sunday morning live to recap the Michigan State game.
Yes, sir.
So again, big time weekend. Awesome time to be an Indiana Hoosier fan. And yeah, don't take this time for granted. Go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers.